The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hello there, Star Wars fans.
And fellow whiskey nerds.
Our podcast, Star Wars and Whiskey Pours, gives you a weekly shot of whiskey reviews.
Combined with hot takes from all things in a galaxy far, far away.
So if you need a little Boba Fett and Blantons in your life,
or some Jedi and Jameson, then join me, Adam,
and me, Corey, on the Star Wars and Whiskey Pours podcast.
Found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all your favorite podcatchers.
May the whiskey be with you.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, Mechanical Violator Hakaider, starring Yûji Kishimoto, Mai Hôshô, and Jiro Okamoto.
Go, go, Hakaider!
Yeah, baby! What's up, everybody, and welcome to Podcasting After Dark, the #1 cult movie podcast on the internet. I am one half of the Pad Team proper, Corey, a.k.a. Sleazy C. Joined with me is my brother from another mother, Zach the Total Snackhead Schaefer. And this week, we have something interesting for you guys. We have Mechanical Violator Hakaider.
Mechanical Violator Hakaider!
Yeah,
Sure.
baby. 1995. Our pal Robert Ortiz, Patreon member, he selected this one. He's given us Repo Man in the past. He's given us Excalibur to cover in the past.
Excalibur!
But of course, he's given us Guyver 2 to cover in the past. And Robert, I wish we started with this one instead of Guyver 2.
Oh, well, you know how we feel about Guyver 2, Robert. We had Kathy Christopherson on our show to talk about Guyver 2. Super
That was cool.
wonderful lady.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And that wouldn't have come out if it wasn't for Guyver 2. Well, listen to that interview, y'all, and you can hear the whole backstory on that. Yeah, I mean, Guyver 2, we warts and all, it's 30 minutes too long, and this is not. This movie is a cool, it's a full moon, Empire Pictures 77 minutes long. Or sorry, 67 minutes long. Well, if you look at the director's cut.
Yeah, the director's cut's the longer one, the 77 minutes one. It has more violence to it, I believe. So I hope that's the one you watched, Zach, because this movie's pretty violent, and I fucking love it for that. But it's funny that you mention, Full Moon and Empire Pictures. My first note is this feels like a Japanese Full Moon or Empire Pictures movie, but in all the best ways possible. Like the lower production quality, like I'm talking about like the composite backgrounds and stuff like that, where they didn't care how it looked. They just wanted it to be a certain way. Like they wanted to convey things, whether they could do it or not with that budget. And that's one of the things, that's the charm of Full Moon movies. That's the charm of Empire Pictures. They're going to show you the visual that they want you to see, whether they can pull it off effectively or not. And that's what we love it for.
Yeah. If those of you who are jumping on here going, what is this movie, based on the poster or the cover art or the name of the movie? Like, what is this? Hold on. If you take one part Captain Power, one part The Wraith, one part Japanese manga, stir it all together, and a little Ultraman from the 70s and early 80s, you get this movie, in my opinion. I love this movie way more than I expected to. Based on the title, I was like, ooh, this is going to be interesting, because Robert always brings something interesting to the table. Robert's also a prolific writer, y'all. He's written several books. His newest one is called The Rune of Making, and it's a kind of sci-fi fantasy story, and he also writes poetry. You should check out, links are in their show notes, check out all his stuff, order his stuff.
He also wrote a wedding planning book.
Yeah, because one of his kids just got married, so it was kind of coinciding with that.
Yeah.
And congrats, Robert, for the nuptials and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I believe they used the book and everything. And of course, Robert is a Patreon member at the highest tier, $20 a month. If you join at that tier, you can select the movie for us to review. It's basically become an executive producer and tell us what to cover. You know, we have a solid, I'd say almost half the movies we cover on a monthly basis are because of Patreon members. So it's a lot of fun. For Zach and I, it's a way to discover movies that we never would have seen in our life, like Mechanical Violator Hakaider.
Nope.
And 9 times out of 10, we are so thankful for that discovery.
Yeah, exactly what Corey just said. I would never have, like, in a million years thought of that. But here's the thing, guys. Like, there are thousands of movies out there that you'll never see because of one thing or another. Maybe the title doesn't draw you in. Maybe you don't have time. But, you know, there's so many wonderful films out there that have yet to be discovered. Think about movies that people go, this was unearthed after 50 years. You're like, well, but it's been out for a long time. It's just now finally getting an audience. Who cares? Whatever. This is one of those movies. This is one of those movies where you're like, nah, I'm good. But then you watch it and you're like, whoa, this is trippy.
You watch it and you were like, where's this been my whole life, you know?
I'll throw a little bit of Jodorowsky into this, El Topo vibe, and then I'll throw a little bit of our buddy. I'll throw a little bit of our boy, your hardware boy,
Richard Stanley.
I'll throw hardware in there as well.
A little Steven Kostanski maybe as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he was clearly influenced by one of his main villains in Psycho Goreman. I mean, if I haven't drawn you in with those little references so far, then why are you listening to the #1 cult movie podcast in the world?
That's right, baby.
Well, if you are, actually, thank you. But then why? Because clearly this is why you listen to us, for this type of stuff. So thank you, Robert.
And Zach, you watched this on YouTube, right?
Yeah, there are like 8 different versions. I'm exaggerating. There's like 2 or 3 different versions. And I think just go to like the one that has the most views. It's the unrated, uncut, subtitle version, and it looks fantastic. It's in HD quality, so it's not pixelated at all.
I wouldn't be surprised if your quality is actually better than mine. I picked up the Media Blasters Blu-ray, and it kind of looks like a VHS. Actually, no, I'll take it back. It looks like a DVD upgraded to Blu-ray. It wasn't the best picture quality, but I am very happy to have this in my collection and to show it to my nephew one of these days because I think he might get a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's not. I know Corey said it's violent from the onset. It is violent, but it's not. It's
kind of cartoony violence.
Yeah, it's not that grotesque. It's not as grotesque as Psycho Goreman.
No,
and it's definitely like TVMA on a like TV. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Maybe TV-14, actually.
Although when Michael kills that one soldier and gets sprayed with blood, that's pretty awesome. I'm like,
I mean, maybe there's your MA, but there's like 1 or 2 instances of that. It's great. It's great cartoony manga violence.
Yeah, like live action manga. And if you guys, obviously, we didn't have to state it, but you can probably understand it. We've never seen this movie before now. So, but I will say... Zach, this kind of got me going down a little bit of a rabbit hole because, like, I recognize this genre, though I didn't know at the time what it was called. But I recognize stuff like, Kamen Rider and, like what you mentioned earlier, Ultraman and Super Inframan and all that kind of stuff, but I wasn't like big on them as a kid. I guess watched more Godzilla stuff as well, although that technically falls under this genre. So it did kind of send me down a little bit of a rabbit hole, and also on Kikaider and everything. So I have a little bit of a little background. Mechanical Violator Hakaider, and by the way, this came out in 1995, is a Japanese tokusatsu film produced by Toei and based on the television series Android Kikaider. The film features Hakaider in the role of an anti-hero as opposed to his typical portrayal as a core villain on the TV show. So right away, Zach, we're kind of following from what I've read online. This movie is kind of like a what if. It's kind of like an alternate take on the TV show Android Kikaider, where this character is actually the bad guy, and they turn him into the good guy here. And I'm like, that's right away out of the gate. That's such a cool concept.
Check, please.
And so to go a little bit deeper, Android Kikaider was a live-action TV series based on the superhero manga titled Kikaider and aired in Japan from 1972 to 1973 for a total of 43 episodes. So Zach, you mentioned like Ultraman, like 70s. This kind of has a 70s vibe, but obviously with like a 90s, mid-90s aesthetic.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
It was one of the first tokusatsus to air in the United States, notably Hawaii, as Kikaider, Android of Justice, on KIKU TV. So it was one of the first ones to get ported over and kind of landed in Hawaii. And then finally, tokusatsu is a Japanese term for live-action films or television programs that make heavy use of practical special effects, elaborate costumes, and miniatures. Kaiju films like Godzilla are a subgenre of tokusatsu, but in this case, think more along the lines of Ultraman or Kamen Rider or the Guyver movies, and you'll have a good understanding of the term. So that's kind of like, set me down a little bit of a rabbit hole to sort of, explore this further, and I'm seeing images that I recognize because, like, guys and gals, if you were like Zach and I and you went to like comic book conventions as kids and you went to the bootleg tape section like we did as kids, and yeah, you were looking for horror movies and stuff, but Zach, we would see all the Ultraman stuff. It would be in there with all of it, and I'm sure we saw Android Kikaider, we just didn't know what it was called and everything, but those were primarily big in the 70s, I'd say.
Oh yeah, I saw all this stuff and never, like, I saw the maybe the toys that were based on it. We had this comic book shop in Sunnyvale called Comics Conspiracy, and they had all the Devilman type stuff there. And I'm like,
Devilman, I remember that. Yeah,
this is cool looking. And they had the action figures, and I remember buying the action figures, and then without even seeing what it was, and then renting the anime at Ultimate Video, which was the competitor to Blockbuster up north. And anyways, yeah, I would watch these things and not even watch things adjacent to Hakaider. It wasn't in my wheelhouse at the time or interest to seek something like this out. I wouldn't say it is to this day. I wouldn't like go, "Oh, I want to watch this movie." But if someone put it on, I would instantly be drawn to it. This is something that I feel like you would see on a small little TV screen at a comic book store. Like they're watching it in the background.
Yeah.
That was the thing, they would always put on their favorite manga or,
tokusatsu Japanese films.
Right. Or like Jackie Chan Hong Kong movies that you can't get, in the States or whatever. Ooh, this is the bootleg copy I got at the, like very proud if you knew what this was.
I loved those days, bro. That's where
I miss those days.
Me too, man. That's where I discovered like John Woo and Chow Yun Fat. And I remember I was at a comic book convention and some guy was just playing that opening tea house scene in Hard Boiled, like sort of on repeat. And I was just like, oh my God, like what, how's this like, how does this exist? And, and I don't know about it. But I mean, we should also throw out like Power Rangers is an example of tokusatsu stuff. And I know our buddy Jeff, he's younger than us, grew up on Power Rangers and stuff. I was already out of high school or in high school when Power Rangers came out. That was not my bag, man. But I will say, I always thought the costumes were kind of cool and some of the monsters they fought were kind of cool. But I was like, I ain't watching this though,
As I like to politely say, it's not for me.
Yeah,
it's not my
not
my bag, as you said. But I will say, we both said we miss those days. I tell you what, I don't miss. I don't miss the attitude of like, oh, if you don't know what this is, they're too cool to not tell you what it is.
Because that was the gatekeeper. Or is that like what gatekeeper is?
Actually, gatekeeping was almost worse in the 80s and 90s than it is now, because now we get there's influencers who want to expose this to the world, us, who want to get this out to people and be like, no, check this out. This is really cool. I'd say it's a little more open-minded now. Like, ooh, you really got to find this thing, versus back in the day, like the people that knew about it thought they were so cool because they were dealing with their insecurities, myself included, and not wanting to share it with people. Well, I just want to keep it, like you said, gatekeeping. It was really worse back then, I think. Just like bullying was probably worse back then too.
Yeah,
That's a whole other conversation that you should go back to our archives and listen to. But I think now, like, this is going to open up a whole new world to some people because they go, I would never expect to watch something like this. I'm not a really big Power Rangers fan. Okay, well, still check this out. Because like I said, when I was watching it initially, I'm like, oh, this is going to feel like a Power Ranger type movie.
That's what I thought.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And then I go, whoa, this is like Captain Power in the beginning of Captain with that post-apocalyptic thing.
Yeah.
And like you said, Richard Stanley, like that vibe. And then he's got a shotgun in this that literally looks like the shotgun, similar to the shotgun that Charlie Sheen's Wraith has in the Wraith.
Yeah. Yeah, no, dude, this movie, I feel the same way. Going into it, I was like, okay, I actually saw on one of the Instagram pages that we follow, I think they posted a trailer for this or something like a month before. So it was actually kind of popped up on my radar, but I wasn't quite sure what to expect from this, you know. And I was pleasantly surprised all the way through, right out of the gate. I mean, I do like the fact that when Hakaider gets awoken at the beginning of the movie, he does punch like the top of somebody's head off, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, well, here we
That
go.
was awesome.
Like, yeah, I'm in for it. But like, it is a post-apocalyptic type of movie, and I'll get into a movie summary of it because I don't think a lot of people have seen it, and we will get there. But I gotta ask you, Zach, right out of the gate, like, do you think that this movie would have benefited from like some sort of opening text setting things up for you, or did you just enjoy figuring it out on your own in your head and kind of world building on your own?
I think a little more context would have been helpful to certain audiences. I like fever dream type movies sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends on what mood I'm in. I was in the mood for that when I watched this. So this felt like elements of a music video at times where I'm just like visual, super cool, artsy. You could put this on at a club in the background. People would be like, oh, yeah, this is cool, you know. That appeals to me. So I think it's a both and. I think, yeah, it could have helped having some, you know, kind of setup to it, but at the same time too, you can go into it cold and still kind of catch on pretty quickly. You can, like, maybe 10 minutes into it, you know what's going on.
Yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic Mad Maxy kind of world or whatever. But you want to talk about the visuals? Let's get into the. It's a small cast. We'll talk about it in a second. Since you're talking about the visuals now, let's talk about the director, Keita Amemiya.
Keita Amemiya. Here I go again. Bop. No, sorry.
My understanding of it, looking him up, my understanding is that he's a big deal. And apparently he was the one that kind of designed all the characters in this movie. I believe he has a strong like fine arts background, graphic design background. He's done some interesting films, one of which I've actually seen. He's done a lot of Kamen Rider stuff, a lot of like live action Kamen Rider stuff. But one movie that I have seen, Robert, and I know you've seen it as well, came out in 91, and it's called Zerum. And I watched it because it's got this chick on the cover that has this really cool like white armor. And I remember watching the VHS back in the day. I think I've only seen it once. Couldn't tell you what it was about, but I was surprised. I was like, oh my God, I've actually seen something by this director. But again, like I said, and I'm sure Robert can maybe explain it further, but my understanding is visually he's kind of a big deal in Japan.
I mean, again, I'm not familiar with any of this work, but it looks cool to me. I mean, like these are the posters that you would have on your wall as art. Like there's this one he did called Garo. It's a TV series, Garo Makai Senki. It looks like this cool looking wolf armor mask, like samurai type deal. It's really rad. Yeah, his stuff is awesome. I was hooked in by his aesthetic immediately. And it's kind of funny that his bio says that, you know, in the top, you know, on IMDb, the bio is supposed to talk about your movies, and it talks about how he's married and has one child. Okay, awesome. Thanks. I really didn't want to know that, but cool.
And Zach, you mentioned that Garo. When I was researching him, apparently that's a fan favorite among people, fans.
I can see why.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. Yeah, so again, maybe Robert can explain to us further, but my understanding is that he designed like all the stuff in this. Even like, you know, when that fever dream that Kaoru is having with Hakaider in that armor and everything, like that knight armor. Man, it looked fucking amazing. Everything about this movie visually looks amazing, even if like the budget clearly can't handle what it's trying to do. But the budget can handle where it can handle. The costume design is where they put all the money into it. The composite backgrounds, not so much.
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of just give this movie a pass for its time. And because I think about, we talk about on 80s Kids Unite in the month of July, we did a whole episode on sword and sorcery movies, how that was such a big deal in the 80s. I would say if we ever did a 90s Kids Unite, we would do an episode on cyborg movies or cyberpunk type movies, because that was such a, of its time, niche genre in the 90s, especially mid-90s. I know Cyborg came out in 88, but that kind of spearheaded and kicked off what we had in the 90s.
Yeah, the cast of this movie, there are a lot of people actually in it. The thing is, we don't know them from anything. Yûji Kishimoto, he plays Hakaider without his armor on, so he's kind of like the face of Hakaider.
He's hunky.
He's a hunky boy. This is like his second movie, and he goes off and does a bunch more films. Bunch of Japanese, dramas and period pieces, things that we've never seen. Kaoru, played by Hôshô. I mean, again, a bunch of like comedies, romances and stuff, but I gotta say, had a huge fucking crush on her in this movie.
Does not surprise me.
And then Hakaider in the suit, played by Jiro Okamoto. He does a lot of stunt work for Power Rangers, or basically the shows that would go on to be Power Rangers in America. And then a bunch of other people. There's a white guy in this. There's a black guy in this.
It's very colorful.
Yeah, it's very diverse rebel cast, which is amazing, but they haven't been in much either. But I do want to call out Yasuaki Honda. He plays the main bad guy, Gurdjieff. And even though he's done stuff, he's done some voice work or work in Final Fantasy X. But he was a big J-pop musician back in the 80s. So that was kind of like his shtick. And guys and gals, I was the one that read off all of these actors because Zach has a leaf blower, the guy working on his
That's actually, that's not true. I wanted to make sure, I wanted to see if you could pronounce those names, because Corey typically butchers these names. I will say, I'm not familiar with the J-pop scene. I unless you like went to a sushi bar back in the day and saw it on the big screen and heard the music playing. Again, this was not accessible unless you went to like Chinatown up in San Francisco, went to like a music store there or a video store up there. You were in the know. And I was familiar with a band called Guitar Wolf, and I know Robert probably knows who they are. That's kind of like, punk, like pop punk kind of vibe. They're rad. They made a movie I think it's called Guitar Wolf, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, check that out if you're interested in something like that. But
did they make Wild Zero? Was that them?
I think they did. I think so. I could be wrong. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. But he looks like a pop star he looks as the villain. He's a very like put together villain. It's anime come to life. I mean, he literally like looks like he jumped out of a manga comic book.
Yeah, dude, I'm just looking it up now. Yeah, Guitar Wolf. He was in Wild Zero, which I have seen before.
He was in that.
Yeah, or did he do the music for it? Hold on one second. Let me no, he was in it. Guitar Wolf is in Wild Zero. That's what I have seen, Robert.
Okay.
That was from 99. So yeah, that's one I have seen. That's why it's like it sounds familiar. But yeah, this whole movie, it's like anime come to life, and I think I can pull an English trailer. So if I can find one, I'll put it right here.
I am Hakaider, the one who destroys to bring justice. In this mysterious megapolis, every individual is under total mind control. Hakaider, the Robo-Man, awakens from a long sleep. satanic evil. Treason? Or revenge. What's his purpose? If this piece is fictitious, I shall destroy it. Robo-Man Hakaider.
And before we keep our general discussion going, I do have a little bit of a lengthy summary, just because I don't think people have seen this movie. Although it's a pretty simple film, again, at an hour and 17 minutes, it is lean, mean, monster machine, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, it jumps right into the action, and it never kind of lets up. The moments of, what do you call that, exposition, where the characters are talking and you're kind of building the story, that's kind of far and few between.
Yeah.
It jumps right back into battles soon after. It doesn't give you a whole lot of time to breathe, which is not a bad thing. I'm sure Dustin would love this because it's so short.
Yeah.
But it's not short. It's not short where you're like, yeah, but I need more of this or I need more of that. At the end, I'm kind of like, I'm actually pretty satisfied overall with what I got.
Exactly, me too. After a gang of treasure hunters accidentally releases him from his prison, Hakaider, now on a mission from God, as my Blues Brothers reference.
It's not bad. It's pretty good Chicago accent.
Travels to Jesus Town. We'll talk about that.
Jesus Town, across the USA. Jesus. Oh, God, this is the greatest name. What kind of name is Jesus Town?
Well, a fascist utopia built on what was once Jerusalem.
Oh. Oh, is this 2026?
There he joins forces with a ragtag but diverse group of rebels who are attempting to overthrow the evil government run by Gurdjieff.
Not Rogue One, but it is Rogue One.
Here we learn that Hakaider was built by Gurdjieff, but when he displayed free will, Gurdjieff had him chained up and sealed away. After the rebels are wiped out, including Kaoru, Hakaider's would-be love interest, the free-thinking android takes the fight straight to Gurdjieff. Hakaider easily dispatches Gurdjieff's soldiers, then goes toe-to-metal-toe with his robotic replacement, Michael. An epic battle between the two cybernetic beings ensues, leaving only one victor, Hakaider, or so we think. Just when Hakaider is about to take on Gurdjieff, a reborn tank-sized Michael attacks Hakaider and rips his arm off.
Hardware.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Our robotic antihero dispatches the metal beast with a Guyver-esque cannon buried in his chest. Hakaider is about to let Gurdjieff live, but the dumbass pulls a gun on Hakaider as he's walking away and gets punched through the stomach and killed for his dumbassery. The movie ends with Hakaider riding off into the wasteland and into our hearts. It's a pretty simple movie, Zach. I mean, weirdly, I kind of covered all the beats. You know, there's some action scenes that I might not have mentioned with him fighting the soldiers on motorcycles, which was great. Every action scene was fucking amazing, actually.
Yeah, I mean, literally, Corey just covered the whole movie. And thank you, everybody. And always, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, first of all, Gurdjieff sounds like something a little 2-year-old tries to say when they're making up names of characters. Gurdjieff.
It's like Grogu when he's trying to talk, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. And as Corey's describing like the rebel soldiers, because they're very diverse, I'm like, that is totally Rogue One. Yeah. Whoa, what the heck? There's huge, I'm sure there's an influence there on these, ragtag rebels that want to overthrow and take over. God, it's so relevant right now with everything going on in the world. But, and there's a direct influence, I think, of, if you ever seen the movie Ant-Man and Wasp, Ghost, the Ghost character, her armor looks very similar to the armor of the soldiers. You know? Like with the little dots, the red, like on their faces, not dots, but like
like lenses or something on their masks and everything.
So so influenced by it, which is cool.
It's really cool. Yeah.
I mean, these are the things back in the day people would be like, oh, they ripped it off. Now I'm like, no, I want to see these influences. Steven Kostanski's main antagonist in Psycho Gorman looks just like one of the main villains in this film.
Yeah, what was she like? Her race of like angels or something like that. She wasn't the paladins were his dudes. She was considered. It's like a religious term, like a crusader or something like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, she looks very much like something out of a tokusatsu film like this. Yeah, dude, like the action was cool. Like when he fights those soldiers, like in that one scene when they're like on the motorcycles, did you notice he launches one guy off the motorcycle and into an overpass above? And I was like, he free jacked him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. And yeah, I totally free jacked him. Like I was so
he free jacked him off.
I'm like, you said it. I was so waiting for that moment. I'm like, please do this, please do this, please do this, because I wasn't sure if they were gonna like land the scene or whatever.
Yeah.
But they did. It was so great, so satisfying. And as Hakaider, like his mask is so cool looking.
Yeah. What do you think about his design? How do you think about how he looks?
Oh well, I mean, he looks like a villain, and like you said, this was a play on that What If story, which I think is great. It's the Punisher story, it's the anti-hero. And I love seeing an anti-hero as the hero. And he's like a legit hero. There's no villain side of him really in this, no. I don't think. Because even as he tells the rebels at one point, he's like, you're basically bad too, because they're counterfeiting money and wanting to take over and rule everyone.
He has a very strong moral compass, even though he's technically supposed to be an anti-hero. And then
he's not anti, I guess.
But he's dark, and his color palette is like kind of like metallic black with like some gold, and then like those purple eyes. Like it's
with the frown, with the samurai frown face.
Yeah, and like sharp teeth and everything. And then when he's in human form, he's like all black and everything, and very Mad Maxy looking. But like Mad Max, it's supposed to be that juxtaposition where he's supposed to look like the bad guy, but he's actually really the good guy. And then you have this other character of Michael, who was technically his replacement. It's another android.
Michael.
But he's all bright colors and clean looking and sort of clean lines and everything. And then, you see one scene of him where he's surveying the carnage that Hakaider's like destroyed all of his soldiers, but one of his soldiers is still alive. And he gets pissed off. He's like, if you were one of my soldiers, you would have had the decency to die, fighting and trying to do your job. And that's when he fucking jams his fingers in that guy's eyeballs and sprays blood all over him. And
that's
I'm like,
great.
And that tells you everything you need to know, that this character is not a good guy, even though visually he looks like it.
But he's not wrong. I'm just saying,
Zach expects his minions to die for him.
Yeah. I mean, you fall on the sword, but would you have disposed of him that brutally? Probably not. That is maybe a harsh way to go, but or gave him a second opportunity to go out there and kill himself.
Yeah.
Didn't do that. There was something about the red on white, which is so aesthetically pleasing in this film. They do that at the end where they're destroying Gradrov's lair or his control base.
Yeah.
And it's like white walls, but then when they break through the walls, the wires are all red.
Yeah.
So it's really beautiful.
It is. It's almost like organic, underneath. And that's the same with Michael when he
Michael.
gets dispatched, when fucking Hakaider does Sub-Zero's fatality on him and like rips his head off, pulling out his spine and everything. You see like underneath is blood and stuff. So you're like, are they cyborgs? Are they part human? Is it just like wet works underneath and it's red? Kind of like like maybe Bishop and Aliens, how it's white and he's still all robot. You don't really know, and that's okay. But I like how in that fight scene, the walls, like what the interior of the walls kind of matches what's inside of Michael. And so at the end of it, I mean, it's just like, it almost looks like a bloody mess, even though, even before he kills Michael, it looks like a bloody mess in there, even though it's really just what was underneath the painting, the plaster on the wall and everything.
Yeah. Are you saying they're Silverhawks? Partly metal, partly real.
So when you rip off a Silverhawk's head, you'll get their spine coming out like that.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if like Copper Kid, he's kind of annoying, right? Didn't he like whistle or something like that? Like he talked in whistling?
Yes, he did. I hated that kid.
Yeah. Like what if Quicksilver ripped off Copper Kid's head and
I'd be cool with that. I'd be fine with that.
Where is the dark R-rated version of Silverhawks? How come we don't have that?
I know.
Don't come on, give us that. Steven Kostanski, do a Silverhawks movie. I was wondering, I'm like, is it organic inside their bodies or is it made to look that way? But regardless, the fatalities in this just feel cooler. I don't know. It's like when you do stuff that's CGI nowadays, and you're like, oh, look how violent that is. But it's like so fake looking. This is not. This is makeup effects. This is makeup effects. Roller Girl. Like it feels. It feels better because that there were people with their hands on making this happen, doing their best. Again, I circle back to Steven Kostanski. That's why I love that dude and his movies so much, because it's like he's literally doing this stuff. That takes a lot of hard work. This movie at 71 minutes probably took a really long time to make, and it's totally worth it. Like the final product.
Yeah, and you mentioned Hakaider's shotgun earlier. It's really cool because they like fire like explosive slugs, not like scatter shot, so it's like slug shots.
And he's got a hidden gun too that you'll find out at the end.
That was really cool too. That was fucking awesome. But like multiple times he shoots off like multiple soldiers' heads with like one round, but like those aren't violent. Like it's not bloody. It's more of just like the armor sort of exploding. There's no blood there. But Zach, how cool was it when that one soldier picks up Hakaider's gun to shoot him with it, and when he pulls the trigger, the recoil rips his own arm off?
Yeah, it's so great. Hakaider is not flawless, by the way. He gets disposed of a couple times in this and kind of gets reborn.
Takes some damage, yeah.
Yeah, which is cool. It's funny to me because I know I made the Wraith reference earlier. It's not just the gun. It's the idea that this person's coming back for revenge on the people that did him wrong. There is a little bit of a revenge aspect to this film, and also blazing through on a really sleek vehicle like they do in the Wraith to kind of destroy people with. That's, again, another kind of link to, I feel like, the Wraith was an influence on this movie, a little bit.
Yeah.
I also reminds me a bit of which Nightmare on Elm Street was it, where the guy's on the motorcycle and he becomes part
that
of the
was
motorcycle?
like part 5, I believe. Yeah. I think that was the Dream Child. I don't love that one, but that guy's like death / makeup effects were pretty cool when he gets turned into the motorcycle of madness.
It's the only good thing about that movie. We talked about that with Paul London, I think, on an 80s Kids Unite episode way back when. Anyways, like that reminded me of that a little bit. And it's like, no, you have to be this guy to hold this gun. You can't just be some lemming soldier.
Schmo. Yeah, Joe Schmo.
Otherwise, you're just going to get blown. You're going to get obliterated. And they try to obliterate Hakaider. He gets, I think it's 2 or 3 times in this movie where he literally faces his demise, but he's able to overcome it. Probably 3 times, yeah.
Yeah. So One time he gets hit by like a tank shell, kind of, and that's when the rebels sort of help him out and everything. Which
But
is
it's on a
fun.
van, right? It's on a van.
It's on top
right?
of like a van, yeah. It was like a tank cannon on top.
I'm
of
okay
like a
with
van.
that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. My favorite was when their rebel stronghold that no one can find. It's so hidden, and then it literally gets just raided by the secret police, by these guys, armor, white armor. But I love when one guy just blows him out the window with a rocket launcher, and it just like. They fling, I guess, like a dummy or something out that window, or maybe a person in a suit, but they're engulfed in fire, flying through the air. It's a great stunt / effect.
Yeah, I'm very satisfied with that. That's a moment too where I felt like there was a direct Albert Pune influence, Nemesis specifically.
Yes. This feels very Punian.
Yes, yeah,
Agreed.
If you guys don't know the Puniverse, as it's called in some circles, he has a very similar aesthetic, I think, to what is portrayed in those daytime combat scenes.
Yeah, anytime I see in a movie like this, like they're clearly like filming in an old abandoned factory or something, it feels very Punian. It feels very Cyborg. It feels very, Nemesis of that sort of style. Because you can always blow the fuck out of things too. So there's always like huge explosions, like the one that sends Kikaider out the window.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Corey here. I just want to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Have you been wondering where's the beef? Well, on our podcast, Throwback Trivia Takedown, you might just find that out, as well as some other things about the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
We're a nostalgic-based trivia show that pits two challengers head-to-head in a duel of the decades, with categories ranging from movies, TV and music, to slang, food, and fashion. You're sure to get the best in retro-themed trivia.
So strap on your jelly shoes, grab a Surge, and walk like an Egyptian to your favorite podcast app and check out Throwback Trivia Takedown.
I heard even Mikey likes it.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Dean.
And we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.
And now, back to the show.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I was a kid playing with my G.I. Joes in the backyard and using, big rocks and like smashing the rocks and like looking at it from their scale versus the macro scale. Is it macro? Yeah, the macro scale where it's zoomed out, where you see everything is like clearly a backyard, but like when you get zoom in into the 3 3/4 level and you're like, oh, but that when that explosion goes off, they go bam. Like you're literally,
yeah.
I picture Pune doing that with his actors and his actors going, you do realize I'm human, right? I can't
do
that stunt
through the window.
Okay, fine. We'll use a dummy for this. Fine.
Yeah, I mean, dude, we've talked about it before. We reviewed it early on, Cyborg. I don't know how we feel about it now, because Zach and I, if you listen to Wrap Up After Dark, Zach and I are talking about possibly revisiting it based on another cut of the film. But it was big for me as a kid. And it, made me go out and, like, take my dad's VHS camera in the 80s, those big ones, and, like, film my own, like, wasteland. It's not like, it's like wasteland in the woods, post-apocalyptic in the woods. And that was something I always liked because I could do that. It was in my backyard,
You could do dad?
Did I do dad? Love
See,
that movie.
Everything's connected, y'all. Like, literally, organically, Robert Ortiz chose this film. Within that time span, David Ullman, I sent him a message about this multi-cut version of Cyborg.
The Slinger cut.
Yeah, and then I told Corey about it, and then I was like, well, David and I are going to do an episode. Oh, maybe he'll have Corey on to do a future episode to talk about that. Then I watched Hakaider, and I'm like, this is very Pune influenced. And then we interviewed Laurie Field, who plays Doodad in Deathstalker, which is practical effects, Steven Kostansky. It's all connected you know, and then Doodad's tagline in the Deathstalker is, "Did I do that?" Like,
full
not
circle.
a tagline. She says it one time, and I say she because Lori did the audio. You'll hear that interview and see it very soon.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. But yeah, it's all connected, and it's all connected in the fact that, like, as a kid, Cyborg made me want to make movies, and I did film in the backyard. And Cyborg was my inspiration for that. And then I look at stuff like that Steven Kostanski does now, and I'm like, if I saw that as a kid, that would make me want to make movies. And the same as Hakaider. If I watched this when I was a kid, it would have inspired me to want to make films. There's just something about the practical sets, the practical, costumes, the practical action, and there's stop motion in this when he fights the tank-sized Michael. Like, it's all
hardware
stop motion,
influence,
so hardwareian. It's Richard Stanleyan, Punian. All these things are right up my alley, because they inspire me to want to do the stuff like this, and everything. And that's what I loved about it. And Zach, you even mentioned, Jodorowsky influences. The two fantasy sequences that Kaoru has are fucking amazing. They're like music videos of their own. This, you know what else this reminds me of, dude? Six String Samurai.
Man? Oh, Six String Samurai. Yeah, totally.
That was a Robert Ortiz pick, but I talked over you. You were also saying
Cemetery Man,
which is also a Robert Ortiz pick.
Yeah, he did Suburbia too. People are like, oh, does he only choose fantasy weird stuff? No, yeah, well, Suburbia.
Zach, who's really listening to this and commenting?
I know Diallo drives Diallo nuts, and Diallo, I'm sure you're listening to this. That's just my voice I do for that anti person,
anti-human,
disagrees with everything. I have another voice for it too. I just can't do that on the air because I don't want that person to know that I'm making fun of them. Anyways,
but yeah,
Cemetery. Well, no, I was thinking of like
I got this. I see
with the wings,
with the wings. Yeah, the creature, the death creature that's in her fantasy with the wings. 100%. I was getting Cemetery Man from that as well. I think we can see Robert Ortiz's style.
Well, clearly, and I know. I interviewed a guy on $2 late fee named Eric Jacobus. If anybody's curious, he wrote a book called Badass on a Budget. And it's basically, if you have that vision of like, I really want to make a movie like this, how do I do it? He wrote a book on how to do that with these really cool, like easy access QR codes to clip references, et cetera, because he does that. That's one of his, he makes like short action movies on YouTube, which are really entertaining, by the way. And he's a martial artist too, so you get the influence. I'm sure this would be something that would be right up Eric Jacobus's alley, but it just kind of ties in with what you're saying of like, you watch these movies, I want to make something like that. You can, everybody. If you're listening to this, whether you're 60 or 16, like, you can literally go out and do this if you want to do it. Make it happen. And this is a cool short film that clearly has legs, because we're talking about it almost 40 years later.
Yeah.
Almost 40 years later. Wait, yeah, dude. Wow.
I know, right?
31 years.
It's wild. It's wild to think, because this was 95. I was in high school at this point. I was a junior. I think you graduated in 95?
I was out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And were you working at Video Man at this point, probably?
Was I? Yeah, I was. And then moving over to Tower Records. So
okay. Well, yeah. Tower Records had sort of an import section, if I remember, not too extensive. More stuff that like we could also get at the video stores, like that one movie Zaram that the director made. There were some that made it through and everything. I don't really recall if this one did, but they might have put it out there. We just didn't have it.
This was literally the era of having to go to your local Asian market that might have a video store in it, or to Chinatown or Little Tokyo in the Bay Area, or here in Los Angeles, or when comic book conventions were literally just comic book conventions, and they might have a tape trader there. They might, that had dubbed them or had copied them onto, bootleg them onto VHS versus PAL, because I think a lot of those imports were PAL. And that was the only way to access this stuff at the time. Yeah, Tower Records was getting like mainstream imports. So I forget the label.
Like
it was
Viz or something.
Yeah,
or...
something like that, or even like Kino Lorber was had a who they are now. I think that label was Key Video. I don't know if it was Key Video. Anyways, these were things that maybe you'd get, but they were so expensive.
Yeah,
and,
they were.
Like Heroic Trio, I think was coming out like an import DVD because DVDs I think they came out like 98, right?
Yeah,
97?
around right before 2000. Yeah.
My God, yeah, I was a Video Man a long time. Anyways, yeah, the Video Man wasn't getting. We weren't getting those kind of tapes. If you want to hear archives of what we were getting, the early episodes of Tales from the Video Store, we'll give you all those details on $2 late fees Patreon.
And, and we were talking earlier about the gatekeeper nerds and stuff like that. They existed, but then, having the opposite of that was such a rare find where you actually found somebody who was like, oh no, let me give you all of my knowledge.
Yeah.
And then that's when you're like, oh my God, they became your mentor. They became your movie mentor. I had one of those when I was working at the
name them.
I don't remember. It was back in
make up a
early
name.
college. Clint. It was Clint. It's Clint Howard. I don't know. I don't remember him. But I remember,
Wraith, man.
But he did that for me. Like, it's you know what? Be that to somebody. Like somebody's asking you a question.
Be that Robert Ortiz. Be the Robert Ortiz to people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, say, you know what? You want to know more about this? And Robert, I do. Like, I want to actually ask Robert, like, if I like Hakaider here, give me 3 more movies that I should watch. And I put Zaram back on my watch list because I do want to see it. I do remember enjoying it, just didn't, go back and watch it a lot. But, like, yeah, this movie covers so many different things. You have the action, you got the sci-fi suits. I do want to go back to Kaoru. I was not expecting her to die.
No, it's a shock. So, spoiler for people who haven't seen it. And yeah, there is a clear, chemistry between her and Hakaider
in human form. Ryu,
Ryo, I think. And it's great. It's like it's very like understood. It's very understood right away that they clearly have fondness for each other. But it's not, and it's a really cool. It's like tragic love story,
Yeah.
But again, it's like not played out too long because the movie's so short, so you don't get too much of this, okay, we get it. This longing looks at each other. Like, no, this is kind of to the point, hits, then she gets killed. She gets disposed of pretty nastily. Like, they don't show, it's not graphic, but the idea, the concept behind it is really dark.
It's cold-blooded. So, like, it's after their place gets raided. Most of the band of rebels gets killed. Hakaider is blown out the window. And it's really cool because those, like, the soldiers are just walking past her and one other guy who are kind of both bloody and standing there. Clearly they're wounded, but they're just walking past them, the whole, like, regiment. And then the last guy in the row just stops and shoots them, drops them like that. And then she kind of gets back up. The other guy's dead. But then Michael comes in and he has his hand closed, and it implies that he does something to her, killing her. But Zach, I think the scene afterwards where she's walking through the city, and everyone's looking at her, and then Hakaider takes her to her hidden place, I don't think that that's real. I think that's her Jacob's Ladder scenario, and Hakaider just probably found her body and picked up her little, like a little gem that she has, a little charm, a little charm that she has.
It's like a keychain, yeah.
Yeah, like a keychain, but it's a reminder of her. I don't think any of that existed. I think that was all Jacob's Ladder stuff.
I think he's carrying her through, and people are watching him carrying her body.
Okay, but she's dead at that point.
Yeah, but
whatever Michael does to him,
and it's kind of a mixture of his fantasy and her fantasy combined. That's my take on it. Yeah, and I love that. It's like he's clearly sentimental, and he keeps the charm to remind him of her, and it gives him purpose to go back and finish the job. And her, again, like you said, the fantasy sequences which are very heavily influenced by other filmmakers. I'll go back to the Rogue One reference too, because all the rebels get wiped out. You know, it's not a happy ending. So, but it does have a satisfying ending at the end with, Hakaider getting the job done. He does what the rebels were hoping he'd do.
Yeah, because Gurdjieff's cool because he's got like one wing. He's sort of angelic
So
looking.
cool. Yeah, he's
and
awesome.
His armor's like all white, and so when Gurdjieff gets his gut punched by Hakaider, it's cool because there's no blood, but it's all just a bunch of feathers everywhere as he sort of falls to his knees and falls down. And I'm like, I like that better than if it was blood. Like that was so much cooler.
Oh, this movie could be played at a museum and people would, uppity people, oh, this is very high class, and then appreciate the overall aesthetic because it is so artistic.
Yeah.
Avant-garde.
Avant-garde. There you go. Yeah, totally. Like, yeah, play it at a bar or something. I'm sure some bars that are like sort of probably Japanese themed or whatever will put this on in the background or, cut some scenes from it or whatever. Because, yeah, the fantasy stuff where she sort of looks like this gothic fairy and everything, man, it's like if you showed me those scenes and said that they were from this movie, I'd be like, I don't believe you. But it works because it's like her little, like her dream sequence fantasy thing. And it's a great way for the director to add this beautiful aesthetic because they're also like out in the desert. And so there's no really other imagery around other than like this one tree that she's tied to. Kind of reminds me maybe some scenes from the movie The Cell, back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
One.
Tarsem,
yeah.
Who did that.
Or The Fall, like his follow-up, The Fall. Like, all of this, like, I feel like the director has the same, like, aesthetic as Tarsem does.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly... I was watching Highlander not that long ago, and I was just marveling at and appreciating the different takes on how to film certain scenes, where, like, there's someone in the foreground, someone in the background, and they're both... in focus, and there's kind of haze in the middle or whatever. And like, I just love when people take a risk and do something different. And this came out at a time when not everybody was seeing this stuff. So nowadays we've got accessibility up the wazoo. We can see whatever we want. So to be original in 2026 is really hard because it's already been done possibly better before this, but this was at a time when like American audiences weren't seeing this kind of thing, which is really special to think about when you put it in context of like, people may look at this now and go, oh, I've seen that, or I've seen this. No, this was kind of to me, it's groundbreaking because I'd never seen anything like it. And I was kind of putting that lens on watching it now, going, well, what would I have thought of this watching it back in 1995? And I actually that's why I appreciate it more.
And also you sort of alluded to earlier, like the times we live in, it's even scarier because Gurdjieff, his whole thing is like, it's fascism. He's like, if you have any dissent whatsoever, they put a chip in your head. Everyone's under surveillance at all points in time. And it's like, Zuckerberg and fucking Musk and all them would rather, or more so Peter Thiel and everything, would rather have all of us have chips in our head that forced us to do what we want. And there's this like this theme in the movie about free will and being a prisoner to things and everything. And even when Hakaider goes and like lets out a bunch of people who are clearly going to be turned into these sort of automatons, and he's like, do you want to live? And they're like, yeah. But it's like, he's not asking, do you want to live like in the physical sense? It's like, do you want to live to be free, and everything? And he rips the door off. Like I imagine at the time the director probably felt like, this was a necessary statement that we're making, but in 2026, 30 years later, it's even more necessary. It's like even more prevalent. Again, all of our cautionary media somehow has become true. Somehow we've never stopped any of this stuff from coming true. So at this point, I can only assume that the Terminator scenario will come. I can only assume that, mind control will come because we're clearly doing nothing to stop it. And movies like this, it's usually sci-fi films, are trying to tell us something and no one's fucking listening. So hopefully, maybe we will help boost the signal on Mechanical Violator Hakaider, because I do think it's a movie that is fun, but it has a message that's very fucking relevant.
Yeah, Corey's hoping that you're listening to us while you're on a hike.
Yeah.
versus at a computer desk.
Or while you're listening to us while you're actively uninstalling Facebook from your phone, or you're actively uninstalling
go do
Instagram,
that.
you know?
Go do that.
That being said, follow us on Instagram at Podcast After Dark.
Yeah, and don't delete all the apps, just a couple of them, just a couple. But do it while you're at the beach, or do it while you're
While you're living.
outside.
Yeah,
Go
like
sit outside.
like Hakaider would want you to do.
Yes.
Live.
Do what Hakaider wants you to do.
Zach, this is it's an hour-long review. We've covered pretty much everything that we can talk about. Again,
We're just gonna circle back if we keep talking. We're gonna go back to things we've already said. So yeah, just like the movie, it's a tighter breakdown.
Yeah, and it gets right to the point, and it's a lot of fun. I think, guys and gals, if you have never seen Mechanical Violator Hakaider, the name
Mechanical Violator Hakaider.
The name is very interesting. The violator part is very interesting because I feel like he doesn't violate people. He would be consensual about it, but maybe he violates Michael when he rips off his head, I guess.
Well, no.
It feels like it's something about the translation is different there. Or is he violating fascism? Is he violating fascism?
Yes. I have a song called Infiltrator Violator, and it's Infiltrator, and it says Infiltrator Violator. Yeah. Don't you be a people hater. Yeah, it rolls off the tongue. Mechanical Violator Hakaider. Mechanical Violator Hakaider. You get the point.
I do. I definitely do. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Zach, final thoughts on it?
I really enjoyed it too. So thank you, Robert, for suggesting it. And go check out Robert's books. Links are in the show notes. And, make Robert happy by going to watch this.
Yeah. Go check it out. Go find the YouTube. Watch it on YouTube or get the Blu-ray. It's pretty cheap on Amazon. But yeah, thank you, Robert.
YouTube version's pretty darn good.
Yeah, so. No, it's probably the better version. But thank you, Robert. Thank you for introducing us to this movie and, sending me down a little bit of a rabbit hole so I can maybe learn more. And Robert, if you have any suggestions for if you like this movie, other movies to watch of this ilk, and I don't want to watch Power Rangers. I want to watch maybe something a bit more violent, a bit more mature than Power Rangers. Feel free to leave a comment. Yeah, I know you'll just message me on Instagram. Do it that way. But leave a comment on social media so other people can hear your list and everything.
Yeah, actually do it. Yeah, Robert, do it on social media. Do it in the notes to this on Spotify. Leave a comment on Spotify and boost the signal. And let us know your thoughts, y'all. If you everyone listening and you know this movie already, you're familiar with it, let us know what other movies or TV shows like this appeal to you as well.
Yeah, because clearly we love it, and so let us know. And not anime, because anime is different. I want more of the live action stuff, like Zaram and everything. So, awesome. Go check out Robert's books and everything. Like we said, link in the show notes. And go check out $2 Late Fees. Actually, a lot of stuff coming in July, and so do we. This basically kicks off July, and we got some fun interviews coming, some really awesome 80s Kids Unite coming this month with Steven Kostansky.
It's kind of a crossover month for us because Corey and I like programming all month. It's $2 Late Fee and Podcasting After Dark, and $2 Late Fee combined.
Deathstalker!
Yep.
Mechanical Violator Hakaider.
Sure.
And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can support the show by joining our Patreon page, picking up a t-shirt from our merch store, or leaving us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at Podcasting After Dark. All links can be found on our website at www.podcastingafterdark.com. And join us next time for another cult movie or TV show review with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.
Hey everybody, it's me, Corey.
And Zach.
We wanted to tell you all about our exclusive Patreon tier called A Tour de Force, where each season we go through a different auteur's complete filmography in order from beginning to end.
If you sign up now for just $5 a month, you unlock our complete back catalog for John Carpenter, Don Coscarelli, and William Lustig. That's over 50 episodes.
And we are currently going through Larry Cohen's filmography, so you'll get all those episodes as well.
Thank you to everyone that supports Podcasting After Dark on Patreon.
You keep the show going. And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side.